It's the week before classes begin. The faculty lounge is buzzing with conversation as instructors prepare for a new semester. At one table, three colleagues are discussing a topic that has become increasingly common in higher education: active learning. You stop for a moment to listen.
I have to admit, I'm getting a little tired of hearing that lectures are somehow outdated. I've been teaching history for 25 years. My students are engaged, my evaluations are consistently strong, and former students still tell me how much they learned in my classes. So when someone tells me I should lecture less because active learning is supposedly better, I'm skeptical. If what I'm doing is working, why should I change?
I used to feel exactly the same way. I didn't throw out my lectures, but I did start making small changes. Instead of answering every question myself, I asked students to predict outcomes, explain concepts to one another, compare ideas, and solve problems before we discuss the answers together. The classroom feels different now. Students struggle more during class, but I honestly think they're learning more because they're doing more of the thinking.
I don't disagree with either of you, but my situation is different. I teach almost 200 engineering students in a fixed lecture hall. There isn't room to move furniture or create small groups. Every time I hear someone recommend active learning, I wonder if they're talking about classrooms that look nothing like mine. How am I supposed to make active learning work with 200 students?
And here's another thing that bothers me. Sometimes I walk past classrooms where students are talking, moving around, writing on whiteboards, and everyone immediately says, "Look, that's active learning." But how do we actually know they're learning anything? Couldn't they just be busy?
That's a fair question. I don't think activity by itself tells us much. Students can be incredibly busy without doing much meaningful thinking. Maybe the better question isn't whether students are active. Maybe it's whether they're cognitively engaged.
I like that distinction. If active learning is really about thinking instead of simply moving around the room, maybe it's possible even in a large lecture hall. But I'd still want to know what that actually looks like.
The conversation pauses, and all three instructors turn toward you. You've just finished exploring the research behind active learning through the Teal podcast. Drawing on what you've learned, how would you respond? Which faculty member raises the strongest point? And where do you think they may have misconceptions? What evidence from the podcast would you bring into the conversation? More importantly, what practical strategies could each instructor use to make learning more active without sacrificing academic rigor? Consider the realities of different teaching environments, including large lecture halls, online courses, and smaller classrooms. There may not be one perfect solution, but there are many evidence-based ways to shift more of the cognitive work from the instructor to the learner. Join the conversation below, support your ideas with evidence from the podcast, and engage thoughtfully with your colleagues' perspectives.